There it goes. Maybe. Okay, we're looking at this. So this is pretty much exactly what your assessment tomorrow looks like. Cough, cough, hint, hint. The numbers might be a little different, but other than that, it's pretty similar. So I know it says choose 5. I'm going to tell you which 5 to choose. We're going to cross off G. And we're going to do these 2 boxes together, and then y'all will try these 5. Does that make sense? Okay,
wait,
so
this is the assessment?
Pretty much this and the front. This whole thing is like your assessment tomorrow. And you have plenty of time to finish today, I promise. Okay, it's super simple. It's just like what we've been doing the last 2 days. There's nothing super crazy about it. The bonus questions are kind of a lot to think about. And I'll give y'all some hints. But again, they're bonus. Do you have to do them? No. Okay, so looking here, we're going to do DH in the 2 parts of H. So knowing that, it says Pythagoras has time traveled, long story, to present-day London. Use the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the distance between the following famous landmarks. So it's going to give us 2 landmarks, and we're going to find them, and we're going to find the distance. Yes? Now, one thing I need you to remember is that Pythagorean theorem only works on what kind of triangles?
Right triangle.
Right triangle. So we have to create a right triangle with the little road maps. Yes? Okay, so knowing that, we're looking here, and we're looking for Shard and Tower Bridge. So we're going to find that. So it's over here on the right. So we have Shard and the Tower Bridge. So that's this dot and this dot. So we're going to use this right triangle to find the answers. So I'm going to go ahead and label my triangle. The diagonal is my C. This is my shortest side. This is my middle side. And we're going to try it. So I know my Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, you don't have to write this every single time. I'm writing it a lot because that's what we're doing, and I want you to understand my why. Yes? Okay, so knowing that, do I know the distance of A? Yeah, it's 250. So A is 250 squared plus, do I know B? Is 600. So 600 squared equals, we don't know C. Now we like when we're looking for C because we don't have to move anything. We're just going to add these, and this is where our calculator comes into play. I actually prefer the scientific calculator, y'all. I think it's easier to use. 250 squared plus 600 squared gives us a big old number, which is fine. You're getting a lot of big numbers. Okay. Every one of these answers on this page, though, on the front or on this piece, are whole numbers. So you're not going to have any decimals. So if you get a decimal, what should we do? Ask or double check what we did. Okay. So knowing that, I get 422,500. Am I done? No, what do I need to do?
Square root.
Square root both sides. So I have to take the square root because that's what cancels my squared. And I get C equals, I don't know, because we're going to type it in. So the square root of 422,500. And I get 650 meters. So there's my answer. My word of advice is to label it on your graph because some of them come in handy later. Any questions with that one? Pretty simple. Okay, so now let's look at H. So H says the British Museum and Nelson's column. So I'm going to find the British Museum is here and Nelson's column is here. So we need this distance. So if you notice, this makes a right triangle. Okay, and do you notice that we know the distance? This is actually your post box. Post box. Okay, we know the distance between the British Museum and the post box, but we don't know the full distance, right? However, do we know these 2 sides? So can we find that full distance? And that's what we're going to do. So I can label this as my A. What's this side? C. So we're looking for B. So knowing that, I know A squared is 750 squared, plus we don't know b squared equals c squared, which is 1250 squared. Everybody okay with that? When we're missing one of the legs, what do we have to do? Subtract. So I'm going to do minus 750 squared minus 750 squared, and I get b squared equals some big number. So this is where our calculator becomes our friend. We have 1250 squared minus 750 squared, and we get this big old number. So I want you to realize that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. Am I done? No. What do I do?
Square root.
Square root both sides. And I get 1,000. So I know that if I want the distance between the British Museum and Nelson's Column, this whole distance is 1,000 meters. Everybody okay with that? So my answer is 1,000 meters because it asks for the whole distance, right? But if we look at this second part of this one, it says Nelson's column and the post box. Well, Nelson's column and the post box is just this little piece right here. So here's my question. If I know this whole thing is 1,000 and this small piece is 600, what would I do to find the remaining balance or the remaining distance? Subtract. So it's 400. You're exactly right. So I would just do 1,000 minus 600, which gives me 400 meters. Because I'm going to take the whole distance minus the little bit of distance we do know. And whatever's left over is my answer. Does that make sense? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, one thing I do want you to know is you have to do E before you do F. You have to do E before you do F. Yes? Okay. If you have questions on F, F is probably the only one that gets a little more thought process, kind of like H was. So just double check. If you want me to double check your setup, I will. One more thing. If you look on the front, whichever side that is, you'll notice there's only 5 problems, and then it's a bonus and a bonus. Okay, bonus, bonus. Now, one thing I want you to look at here, you have to read super careful. It says if the perimeter of square 3, this is square 3, is 36. Does that mean this one side is 36?
No.
No. How would I find my answer? Divide by 4, because perimeter is adding all the sides, and there's 4 sides, and it's a square, so they're all exactly the same, right? So what's 36 divided by 4? If we don't know, we can use our calculator. 36 divided by 4. So I know that all sides of this are 9. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you want to do the bonus, you have to think like that. Okay, on this one, a lot of people find C really simple, which is great. But it says Melissa wants to put a ribbon border around this whole triangle sign. So after you find C, wouldn't you have to add all 3 sides to find your perimeter? Because if I'm going to put a border, isn't that perimeter? Okay, so just be careful with those 2. That's the biggest thing I've seen for people who have tried those. But again, they're bonus. Do you have to do them? Perimeter. Okay, so this is what you're working on. If you have questions, what should you do?
Ask.
Ask.